Over 38 days, the United States hit 13,000 targets in Iran. The military objective was a total surrender, a demonstration of military force so absolute it would end the nuclear program forever. But after the dust settled, the results were not what the White House expected. Vice President JD Vance spent 21 hours in a single negotiating session in Islamabad, trying to win the concessions that the bombs couldn't. He walked away with nothing. The Islamabad deadlock was a repeat of the failed talks in February. The American team left the city empty-handed, unable to move the needle despite more than a month of airstrikes. Vance handed the Iranians a take-it-or-leave-it proposal to terminate their nuclear program. They chose to leave it. This failure leaves the Trump administration between two unpalatable choices: a years-long negotiation with Tehran, or a resumption of a war that has already caused the largest energy disruption in modern history. The administration's plan relied on a specific that Iran would change its mind once faced with a massive display of American military prowess. The Pentagon hit more than 13,000 targets, aiming at missile stockpiles, military bases, and the industrial sites that build the Iranian arsenal. The response was defiance. The Iranian Foreign Ministry stated that the heavy losses of their countrymen only made their resolve to pursue their national rights firmer than ever. To the Iranians, enriching uranium is a right under the Non-Proliferation Treaty. To the Americans, it is a tell, evidence that Tehran wants a ready option to build a nuclear weapon at any time, even if it never exercises it. After 38 days of war, that ideological gap hasn't narrowed, it has hardened. The US military advantage was spent, the diplomatic needle didn't move. This is where Iran pivoted to its most potent weapon of economic chaos. They shifted the pressure from their own soil to the Strait of Hormuz. Control of this waterway is now wrapped into Iran's list of demands. By threatening this passage, they hold 20% of the world's oil supply as leverage. The closure also halts fertilizer for agriculture and helium for semiconductors, crippling global supply chains. Iran's price for reopening the strait is steep: reparations for bombing damage, a complete end to the war, and lifting 2 decades of sanctions. By surviving the initial strikes, Iran turned its geographic position into a tool for economic warfare, forcing the US to negotiate over the very water it used to dominate. There is a ticking clock. The current 2-week ceasefire is scheduled to expire on April 21st. The administration's only remaining leverage is the threat to resume major combat operations once that date hits. But the Iranians know this is a difficult political choice. Gas prices are already soaring, and the American public is feeling the direct cost of the first 38 days of war. A return to war would likely cause markets to decline and shortages to worsen. With inflation already at 3.3%, more bombing makes a rise in costs almost inevitable. This makes the threat of more ordnance a liability. Instead of forcing a surrender, dropping more bombs now risks triggering a significant domestic economic decline. The deadlock remains because both sides walked away from the first round believing they had won. The US sees victory in the number of targets hit. Meanwhile, Iran sees victory in the fact that it is still standing and holding the world's energy supply hostage. Now, the White House must choose between two difficult paths: the risk of an economic shockwave, or a complex, lengthy conversation with an adversary that refuses to capitulate. Past agreements show how long that takes. The 2015 deal took 2 full years of compromises to reach, and it still allowed Iran to retain some nuclear capabilities until 2030. With the April 21st deadline approaching and neither side willing to compromise, the standoff continues. The global economy is left waiting to see which side breaks first. Subscribe for more on this developing situation.